if you're thinking about buying a house, and I want you to own real estate, owning a home and paying it off is one of the data points of an everyday millionaire. So we want you to do that, but we don't want the house to own you. So here's your rule of thumb, okay? Number one, you don't buy a house unless you're out of debt and you have your emergency fund. Now, everybody's going to tell you need to run buy a house, but everybody's broke, and you don't want to listen to them. It's not a popular thing to move a little slower with more maturity and more wisdom, but who gives a crap? This is not a popularity contest. This is you, your family, trying to build wealth and build stability and sustainability. Don't buy a house until you're debt-free and you have your emergency fund, and then you save up your down payment. And that's what we do. Ding, ding, just like that. And then when you do buy a house, I love the 100% down plan. I love it when I talk to a young couple. These killer millennials that I get to talk to, they're incredible. And they say, we got married, we were 23 years old, and we lived in a garage apartment, and we were making $110,000 a year, and we saved $50,000 a year for 4 years, and we were 28, we paid cash for a $200,000 house. I love the 100% down plan. And people are doing it, by the way. I recommend that. But if you're not going to do that, here's the most you should borrow. And it's the only thing I don't yell at you for borrowing, but I would prefer you didn't borrow, or that you borrow less, and get it paid off as soon as possible. But the most you should borrow is a home on a 15-year fixed rate where the payment is no more than a fourth of your take-home pay. So don't buy a home until you're debt-free, have your emergency fund plus a down payment on a 15-year fixed rate where the payment's no more than a fourth of your take-home pay. Here's the point of the 25%. It's not magic. The point is, long-term, over the next 5 or 10 years, if you have a house payment that eats up all of your income, you have no money. That's how deep the 25% is, okay? Because people you can get qualified for a loan that's 50% of your take-home pay, and you can't even breathe. You can get qualified for a loan that's 35% of your take-home pay, easily. And then you have trouble funding your car replacement fund, your 401k, your kids' college fund, because you become increasingly house poor. So if someone calls me up and their house payment's 50% of their take-home pay because one of them just got laid off in the coronavirus, well, that's not what we're talking about. You would just hang on through that because you're going to get your pay back and afterwards, and you're going to be okay in the house. So it's not a snapshot of a moment in time. It's a concept that over the scope of the next decade, it's going to be very hard for you to avoid debt and prosper if your house payment's eating up all of your income. That's really what it comes down to. 25% is based on having done budgets for 30 years with people. And I'm saying where you are now is your projected income today. And based on that, we're going to do 25%. That gives you room for kids' college fund, car replacement, Christmas, insurance, start your 401k and baby step 4, and that kind of stuff. If you get up around 35%, you start to be in a strain. You can't, you say, we'll put this vacation on a credit card, and you start rationalizing your butt off and start being a normal American again. So that's where it comes from. It's conservative unless you're trying to hit all those baby steps and you don't see raises. Charlotte is in Colorado and says, I've got a question regarding the 25% rule for home mortgage. We live in Steamboat Springs where property prices are high. Only condos will be in our price range. Should the HOA fees be included in the 25%? HOA dues are very high here due to the high cost of snow removal, sometimes as high as $350 a month. Okay, here's the situation. The whole thing of saying don't put more than 25% of your take-home pay into a house payment on a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage is so that you don't get house poor. I have seen a lot of people do a lot of stupid stuff with real estate. You know who makes money in real estate? People that don't get themselves in a position that they're forced to sell it. Real estate that sells fast is known as cheap. It's a good buy for me because I'm going to buy it from somebody who's in trouble. So you can kind of back in and go, well, I live in New York or Steamboat Springs, there's snow, or, do I get a pass on math? No, you don't get a pass on math. Math works everywhere. Exactly the same. And so if you don't make enough to live in an area where the real estate is expensive, that means you don't make enough to live in an area where the real estate is expensive. You have to make more to live there. I can afford to live in Manhattan. Probably not. Orange County, Manhattan, Miami Beach, Tokyo, London. These are all right. Singapore, they're all right there together. And you just have to make a lot of money to live there. And so I get this question all the time. Well, Dave, I live in California. Well, maybe you don't anymore. Or maybe you're going to move to a different part of California. But you're probably not going to live in freaking Laguna Beach if you're making $45,000 a year. The numbers don't work. You can include the HOA fees. You can talk about snow. You can not talk about that. But at the end of the day, the question is not whether my 25% works or whether what you include in the 25%. The question is, after you get through paying for your house, are you broke? And when you take out a house payment, HOA fees, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and in taxes now you're high. Yeah, well, I understand. And so you got to ask yourself, do I fit in here? But when you add it all together and then you are finished paying for your housing, are you broke? That's called house poor. And when you get much over 30% on that, you start to get into trouble. 30% of your take-home pay. Now, a mortgage company on a 30-year adjustable rate will qualify you for about twice as much as you can actually afford. But you can't do anything else after you pay your payment. I mean, your kids are going to be skinny. Please don't talk to me about vacations. Please don't talk to me about saving for your kids' college. Please don't wonder why you're not able to fund your retirement when you've got your house strangling you. I love real estate. Owning your own home and getting it paid for is one of the two primary pieces of financial data that will lead you to being a millionaire. Owning real estate is absolutely vital for your financial future. But owning it the wrong way will destroy your life. Biting off more than you can chew and you choke on it will destroy your life. So real estate's a two-edged sword. I want you to get a house. It's a key part of you becoming wealthy. But when you rationalize your butt off and think math doesn't, and you try to find a way that I can somehow figure out a way that I'm going to overpay for this and it's going to be okay because my situation, we have snow. That's just bogus. I mean, this is just rationalization. So, no, you count everything. You don't count the utilities, but what does it cost for you to own this property? And is that going to own you? That's the question you have to answer. The rule of thumb we use is you shouldn't have more than about 25% of your income, your take-home pay, going towards that. Then that leaves room in the other 75% to buy stuff like food, college funds, retiring with dignity, saving up and paying cash for the next car so it's not in debt, saving up and paying cash for the next couch so it's not in debt, saving up and paying cash for your little vacation so it's not in debt. And when you have so much debt on your house that you have no margin, no disposable income in your budget, all the other stuff starts turning into debt, and this snowballs and falls down on your head. No pun intended. So, check it out, folks. We got to use common sense. If you think you got house fever and you're getting ready to do something stupid with a house, go take a cold shower. It'll help you get over the house fever.